Very warm welcome to parallel workshop session, track 5 by Professor Santosh Shirsagar. Dr. Santosh Shirsagar is a design educator and calligrapher from Mumbai, India. With more than 2 decades of teaching experience, he is the current dean at Sir J.J. Institute of Applied Art. In 2019, he completed his PhD on handwriting acquisition in Devanagari script from IDC IIT Bombay. He teaches calligraphy, especially in Devanagari script, typography, and visual communication design. He also conducted several workshops in India abroad and has given illustrated talks on Indian calligraphy in Germany, Belgium, London, and Japan. His calligraphic works have been exhibited in Japan with Professor Mori Kuhn, Australia, and USA. He presented his research papers at ICTVC Cyprus, ATYPAI Dubai, Ireland, International Graphonomics Society Conference, Japan. He also designed typefaces for Microsoft Windows XP system in Gujarati and Oriya script. He is an academic consultant to government organizations and private institutions in India. He is on the advisory board of Typography Day from 2009. He is one of the co-founder of Aksharya, a non-profit organization dedicated to creating awareness about Indian script. So over to you, Professor.
Thank you very much. I deliberately decided, although I have tried this time in this pandemic season to teach online, but it's not just difficult, but it's not at all possible, I found. And of course, I worked really hard to, because if you have to teach online something manual, and then it is almost next to impossible because the demonstrations, many aspects, not just the demonstration, but the facial communication, the postural communication in the class, and so many things by which one can really, get to interact so lively and so more specifically, more in a more entertaining and interesting manner. Well, nevertheless, I've said, okay, if this time it's online, fine. But instead of a workshop, then what I did is I've carefully created a separate illustrated presentation. I will not call it a slideshow or any typical presentation, in which I will take my seriously own time to talk about what I'm showing, and especially the references. So what you're going to get out of this workshop is one tangible thing is literally four most important books, yeah, from which you will get to see the works which I'm showing today to you. The digital is not the satisfactory medium to show you the goodness of the work, the quality of the work, which you can appreciate in the book form. But the idea is, at least the good thing about it, that I can reach to you from wherever you are and wherever I am. And we are in our own comfortable space and time. Yeah. And another good thing is you can record, you can screenshot and all that. But I always suggest that whatever slides I'm showing here, if some of you are, especially to the young generation, I will suggest that if you take a screenshot, don't ever share any screenshots of the work to anybody without any credits, because that is what we have learned in PhD, and especially the students from visual arts and design background, at least they need to be extremely responsible about sharing anyone's work. It's always nice to give credit to the person who has originally created it, and in fact, it's more expected is that you can always hit that person's name on the net and can explore more of his work rather than immediately sharing it. So there is nothing wrong sharing it, but I suggest you and I request you not to do such kind of practices of taking few slides I have made which has a specific names with correct spelling and everything is prepared. Last three slides of the presentations are, I will urge you to take the screenshot because they are the references by which I want you to go to those original sources and check it out for yourself. So, to today's session quickly. I'm feeling a bit sad that you and me can see each other immediately, and we can't really work in the classroom the way we used to, and actually doing the hands-on. I'm basically more of an hands-on person, so you can imagine how much preparation I need to do to come online. But then I thought that why not clarify certain particular concepts, and especially to, if any of you are born after like 1995 or 1990s, in 1995 till say 2010, then maybe this talk or this slideshow will make sense to you, because whatever I'm showing you is mostly of 80s, which is forgotten. I don't know why, but the most important things, and that will try to answer us the very question which I have given in my synopsis called how to go beyond basic calligraphy skills. Yeah, I say basic calligraphy and skills little separately because the reason is, what is basic? We generally use this term basic calligraphy, but it's very difficult to say what is basic calligraphy as such. As you know, the typical definition of calligraphy is art of beautiful handwriting, as Oxford Dictionary says or Merriam Dictionary says. But what we actually practice is we practice with cut pens on typical tools which we are exposed to, and we do something good looking letter forms and communicable letter forms, little more effective or impressive effects of the letter forms. Yeah, and more to your generation, even the typefaces are available. Yeah, so the question right now here is, there are so many typefaces available, so much technology developed. What is the use of calligraphy? Whether calligraphy should sustain or not sustain, and if it has to sustain, how it has to sustain, and why it has to sustain, and where it's going to now. Whether it's going to die, or whether it's going to alive another avatar or something. That's, we will try to check it out in today's, say, maybe 1 hour session. And I always suggest that the more questions you have after the sessions, even if in between, no problem for me, but it's better if, because we are all together, and maybe somebody will get disturbed if you suddenly ask a question. I have no issues because I'm like teaching regularly, so I can always try to answer your questions immediately if I know the answers. But it's always better when everyone is focused to the question answer session in the end. So let's follow the format which is already chalked out by Typo Day organizing committee. So the question answer sessions are extremely important for me, if we can call it a workshop session, because the idea of workshop is actually, see, there are basic three things or four ways we learn. One is by reading books, by looking at the books visually, by somebody demonstrate to us, and the last and the most important dynamics of learning is actually doing yourself and realizing it or knowing it. So I'm coming from the doer school, you may can say, but with today's limitations, we will try to visualize and try to understand the concepts, because many a times, if we understand the concepts quickly, it definitely, I believe, the work changes. Yeah, our own work changes, our own perspective to look at others' work also changes. That's what I've learned. I'm not telling you something which is really rocket science. In fact, 99% of my things are already done, but we need to relook at them with certain particular concept. Yeah, and how it has developed, how it has came to us as a young generation, to us, our generation. I mean to say, as I specified, from 90s to 2010, especially for us, how it has came. And therefore, it may sound very simple in the beginning, but you'll come to know what I mean to say. Few things we need to make ourselves clear about. Yeah. So over to the presentation, if you're all ready, and I'm trying to share screen, full screen. So how to think beyond basic calligraphy. Yeah, why I'm saying basic calligraphy? What is the basic calligraphy here means? Why basic calligraphy? very first question, why there was a need of basic calligraphy when there are thousands of fonts available, and now there are variable fonts and a lot of technology which is in place. Why we still need to know basic calligraphy? That's one question. But before that, a very simple childlike question: how basic calligraphy came into existence? What we call basic, and why it was required? What was the function of the basic calligraphy? Yes, we have to go a little bit, not very old. Just now, if you have attended Professor Panchanan's lecture, he said the script is just 5,000 to 6,000 years old, as compared to language is more than a lakh of year old. Yeah, these are all spoken languages he spoke about, because his domain is coming from literature and linguistics and languages. Yeah, but here we are as a graphic designer or a visual communication designer, and we look at it differently. We look at in a manner that the human beings like you and me took so long to develop something called spoken language. Within that 1 lakh years time, about 40,000 years we took to simply form a word. And after the 40,000 years, maybe 60,000 more years till the script came into existence, it was slowly going to tens and sentence, in the spoken language, and narratives, and so many abstract concepts we started speaking. We started speaking first with the words which are more object specific. Maybe we can say naming, or maybe we can say signs. They were just words like signs. They are just the signs. They mean what they like. For example, the typical example is given like, this is bottle. So bottle is a word for this particular object. So this is how the science of science says, you must have heard about semiology. Yeah. So from that, we proceed further to the script. So it's actually a long journey of a human being to invent a script. And we need to know, if we want to be a calligrapher or even a typographer, we need to know this history from the concept point of view, not necessarily from, I hate the idea of theory and history and writing history and passing the exam and all that, forget it. But what was the concept? Yeah, that we need to know, because that gives us trigger to go further. Remember, our today's topic is going beyond. We cannot go beyond unless we look back. So we have our little history of script that is 6,000 years old, which is not little for us. So let's not, look at the whole, right from the point zero, but at least few hundred years ago. Let's be more specific. Just before the printing, 16th century, popularly known Johannes Gutenberg invented movable typefaces, and for the mass communication purposes and for the mass production purposes in the Industrial Revolution in Europe. But before that, even about 70 years ago, Jiki-G was the first type created by Korea, and that is now recently acknowledged by UNESCO that Koreans were the first inventors of a movable typeface. See how much we are unaware about the information, the basic information. Yeah, but that's fine whether Korea invented or the Gutenberg invented first. We are not going into that. We are going more into a movable typeface concept. And before that, what was the role of calligraphy? At that time, the role of calligraphy, anyone can logically say, was really, really very functional. So you can look at the manuscript page here from India. Yeah, this is actually one of the part of the diary. I will, not to disturb the slideshow, I have given all the credits of the work in the tail end of this entire presentation. So every slide I don't want it to disturb with the names, but I will verbalize it. Yeah. So don't think that I am not giving the credits to that particular work. Yeah. These are the Jain manuscripts in short. Roughly about after 11th century AD, because what kind of Devanagari shapes and size what we see today is actually traced back not more than 1,000 years old. Yeah, our scripts are more than 3,000 years old, as evidence shows. But this is, let's come quickly to just 1,000 years before, or 600 years or 300 years before the printing came. Yeah. So the function of calligraphy at that time, you can see here, it's all left to right, top to bottom, line spacing, absolutely text, a readable text everywhere, not only in India, but also Middle East, also West. Just let's have a look at it. And the concept, therefore, the idea of book was so different. This is a different material. Now hardly we use, but traditional from South India and also from Sri Lanka, Burma, they used to use this tadpatra or palm leaf to make the manuscripts and the books out of it. Yeah, that is how the whole thing has changed. If you see, Indians were habitual to write everything horizontally, maybe because of this, the original surfaces was palm leaf, and therefore all the formats, the layout, everything is horizontal. Another thing is, these are the pages from the big book, 100 pages book. I have seen these books, and consistently all 100, 200 pages are written in the same manner, in the almost like printed. If you can see, a lot of experimentation has been done. This is a reverse lettering, or what we call reverse white on black. So this is a paper, and there are a lot of other techniques involved to get this kind of white, simply white letters. But if you see, the experimentation is happening within a framework of a book, because the liability of calligraphy that time was, it has to be readable, it has to be legible, it should be interesting, it should be interesting to read, but it needs to be readable. So the readability was the most and the foremost important thing. Why? Because printing was not available. So whoever will write letters has to be written in a manner should be read by all. What is so-called readable? You see, letter form is a very abstract concept that way. It's not a word which is coming from the objects outside. Yeah, except the certain schools are referring to, which are like picture script, what we call a pictograms or ideograms from Far East. Yeah, but those are also inspired from the natural objects, and finally they are the codes, or they are like a visual marks which are made on the paper. Yeah, in order to document the literature, in order to document the language or the words. So this function was basically documenting the information. And which information? Obviously, in those eras, the most important is the religious, or also religion was one of the like knowledge, or the definition of religion was how to live life. Yeah, the group of people decided how to live life, do's and don'ts, good and bad, and also science and also knowledge, not just about the existence of the God, but the things around us and the knowledge. Yeah, so you can see how beautifully it is done when we say, and it's so decorated so well, because there is so much of a respect, there is so much of a dignity to that text. So how one can add? You will see, that's why calligrapher doing a dual role of making this design or decorating this particular paragraph. But if you see, inside the paragraph is quite formal. It has to be readable. And another thing, very important, and especially for our generation to know, that books were not read by many. The script was not read by many. That's what very rightly said Professor Panchanan. The script reading, simply reading, recognizing, writing is more efforts you require. That's why many people can talk. Many people also can read in India, but means they go up to the recognition of the letter, and can read, but they cannot write. So writing is another level. It requires a fine motor activity and a lot of efforts. One has to take practice and then acquire that as a skill. So writing itself on the very first level is a skill. Yeah, even if you see the Western tradition, this is an oldest Hebrew Bible we are seeing right now. And if you see the text, very formally written, because the tradition was the knowledge or the religious text will be read to the people on weekends. Maybe a Sunday mass, you can say, or maybe in India, they were in Maharashtra, there were kirtans, or there were discourses in the temple, or in the mosque, there were discourses. Even today, you get some kind of a glimpses of those if you go in village. There are Sunday meetings, or there are weekend meetings, or there are evening meetings where people gather, and someone who read those books recite for them or tell them what's written in the book. Yeah. So basically, reading was also not necessarily then. Now it's our literacy. If language was first, the script was second, and the idea of literacy is quite young as compared to invention of the languages, then to scripts, and now the definition of literacy is everyone should be able to read and write, and that's the basic part of literacy. And that's why it has compelled everybody, for all of us, to be a writer. So some people ask me, can I do calligraphy? Of course, you have done one level that you have, whether because of the policy of the whole world that the world has to be literate, and the definition of literacy means reading and writing. So once you have learned writing, that means you have already passed one stage of being a calligrapher, because unless you know script, how you are going to, write it specially, write it which is readable for others. So the very first function of calligraphy then was reading, making information, like as very rightly said, the David Derringer has said that script is a vehicle of civilization. But what type of a script? How it is written? This way. This is Book of Kells, another famous Bible which I'm showing you, written in Roman Latin script, and you can have a look at it. So much decoration they did because of the kind of beliefs they used to have, and is kind of a worship of a knowledge. It's a kind of a worship of a knowledge, and those books needs to be sustained for hundreds of years. So the paper, the material, the technique, the care and concern was taken into that way, with that concept of the letters are only for reading, and letters works just as a device of information, or letter just deliver the information. So letter form was just more like a tool to deliver the information to other. Yeah. So that was a concept. And therefore, this is a Bible, Gutenberg's Bible from US, and which is the oldest copy available. Now you can see even Gutenberg was influenced by the Gothic, or the so-called black letters, known as black letters, and all that his type is designed on the basis of the handwritten manuscripts which we have seen before. So I suppose we have cleared it out why the calligraphy came into existence, what was the function then, and now why we need to use it. So let's understand again what is basic aspect of calligraphy. Yeah, the basic aspect of calligraphy, the way we look at it is basically hidden in a tool. The kind of tool you use gives a kind of a shape to a letter form. It is the most important aspect of calligraphy, that why the letter is thick and thin, that's basically because of the tool. If you see, you must have also experienced, because of these different cuts or different oblique cuts, the script takes a different shape. We will go further deeper into it, how really tools has influenced the calligraphy. Now these are the modern tools you see, of course influenced by the old, which are like this is like a crockquill, or they used to write with turkey and goose feathers, bird feathers, and there was a process to make their own tools. It was a very hard process to make their own tool and write. Now there are ready-made pens also. See why? Now you can see different sizes also. That means the world wanted letter form in a different way, little bigger, little smaller, not with the same tool, maybe different tool. If you see, the different orientation to the tool gives a different type of letter forms. Yeah. This diagram explains very well from Bruckendell's, one of the German book. In the end, I have given the reference of this. You must get this copy, or maybe in your library, or you make an order this. In this book, compile the entire history of it and conceptual history, and in a very simple fashion. many diagrams, many visuals. So it's very user friendly in one way, So this diagram explains how the nib is really giving a different types of dimensions to the basic letter form, yeah, and which is a cause of making certain letter forms more readable and legible to the others. At the same time, there are structures of the letter as well. So not only the tool, but the structure. And primarily, the structure is also influenced by tool, but not necessarily. The circle of Roman or the uncial, half uncial, Bertranda, and all these are the different styles, yeah, of the different era from last, say, 500 years. People have researched and they came across with the concept in a nutshell that how the angle of the tool, number one. Number two is how the shape of the letter. That's another factor which influence why the letter look different than the another. And these are the ways the styles were created. And that's why it's very difficult to call what is basic hand. Generally, people say that this is a basic calligraphy, that is a basic calligraphy. No, the basics of basics is this. The tools and the manipulation on tools gives ultimately result into a different look to the letter form. But letter form as such can be written simply with a monolinear tool and can be read also. Yeah, but this is little making it more interesting, more visually appealing, and also takes care of readability and legibility. This also from the same book. Yeah, and you see all the metamorphosis of different eras, how the throughout the century, how a single letter changed. They have given all A to Z letters. These are Roman capitals. And after Roman capitals, you can see Fraktur, or you can see even the black letter, you can see Old English, whatever you call, or different, or Gothic, and from uncial, half uncial, Batrada, then palace script or chancery italic, and all those changes which you see because of change of the tool. So these three slides are actually taking care, not just Western, it's the similar concept for also the Indian as well as the Arabic. Yeah, I'm not talking about the Far East because the tool was completely different. The idea of letter form was completely different, and even the script is completely different. As you know, the Roman Latin are known as alphabets or alphabets, alphabetic system of writing, or and also in India or in Middle East is called alphasyllabary, means there are alphabets, there are vowels, consonants, but there are permutation and combination. So right from the script structure, script system, and then the letter form, we need to be aware about, because the more we know, at least simply know, that will give us some kind of an insight how to go further. That's the agenda. Now, how to study? Professor R.K. Joshi was my guru, and unfortunately, he's no more with us from 2008 specifically. But how he studied manuscripts, this is one of the page from the article of Kalti's issue published in 1983. Now, in 80s and 83, these things started happening. Why people started more studying manuscripts, going back and collecting the knowledge from the traditional manuscripts and calligraphic style. Why? You can just ask this question why to yourself, and you might come to know in India the first computer came in 1981. So there are dots which you can join, and you can understand why some scholars were involved in this, because it was not a threat. It was not a threat that the writing will disappear or calligraphy will disappear, but maybe it became a reason in order to investigate more thoroughly. And look at his notes. And that for us as a graphic designer, it will never die, because it gives so much of how the earlier people have thought about letters. You can learn from R.K. Joshi's this particular few glimpses of his diary pages. You can see these are handwritten diary pages of his, and how different styles he has removed by looking at those manuscripts. And sometimes specifically the terminal endings and how the joineries are, and all that is commenting here and also doing it. And if you carefully look at it, he is also following the format like manuscripts, mostly horizontal. You see, this is a complete copy of the manuscripts. And look at his study pages. Even his study pages are, following that grid. Now, we don't have any kind of limitations. The earlier machine limitations has, made a book in a vertical form. That's it. Do we have any limitations? No. Now the technology has grown so much that it asks you what you want and why you want that you want. So these are the important questions for us to go further and trigger us the ideation how to go further also. And if something miss out on the tradition because the technology was not so developed then, can be brought back. If they are good, if they are specific, if they are cultural identities, then those can be brought back. So that is why we are trying to learn from the people who have learned and also people who have done the manuscripts. So this is the next step of Professor Joshi, who did painstaking study of the manuscripts from the styles to terminal endings, to joineries, to even the layout. You mean to say that was only happening in India? No, even abroad. Yeah, look at the notes, each and every letter and its formation, from where to start, where to end, ascend, descend, terminal ending, same thing. And there is an entire book. This is one of the page of the book. It describes each style in this manner. What a wonderful book, an entirely calligraphed book. If you see, even the red color notes are also done. If you enlarge, you will come to know that they are written in a calligraphic pen with a small pen. Yeah, describing about how one can get this style. So it's a kind of slowly going to making a manual, making a primer, like you have a handwriting learning primers, which you and me have used in childhood. The printed primers tell us to practice letter forms again and again and get hold on letter forms. These are also kind of a primers or manuals in my eyes, which taught the basic calligraphy. Because somehow calligraphers must have felt that this basic calligraphy will go away. And if basic calligraphy will go away, how people will understand the basic structure of the letter? Because letter is, although born idea from nature, influenced by natural forms or by any other forms, but by now, after 1,000 years, they are abstract signs. Purely, if you ask, when a child asks a question, why letter F looks like this only, we really don't have a specific answer. Of course, there are people who spell out a lot of theories and a lot of reasoning and all that, but we don't get a scientific or very concrete reason why a specific letter look like that specific letter and why not the other way around. I am not opposing that there are some theories in France maybe about every letter form, and there are, with due respect to that form and all that, but still, if you look at the history for 5,000 years, the letter form has changed centuries and after few centuries. Many reasons maybe, but the core aspect of the letter form has changed. They remain unchanged, but the form has changed. Let's look at whether what I'm saying is right or wrong. This is one of the most famous calligrapher of 18th century, Roger Spencer, who was responsible to write Constitution of United States of America. Yeah. So Roger Spencer's manual, you can imagine, in 1865, he created a manual how to do the round hand, or what we call running hand, or what we call the the joint letters. There are many ways people. Now it's not there taught in a school, but during those days, this was not a calligraphy piece or calligraphy manual. This was a handwriting manual then. So it's very interesting to know history from that point of view, that in 1856 in America, this was more of a handwriting manual. So this is all what we call today a calligraphy was handwriting then. See, these are still published today. I have a copy of this. Yeah. And you can see there are lines. Yeah, there are lines, and there are lines on top, and it is expected the Roger Spencer expect you to just write below the same line and just copy these lines to learn, get acquainted with this particular style of letter forms. Of course, it's very interesting to look at America because one of the youngest country on our planet. Yeah. And that's why maybe we see a lot of changes quickly happening. So from 18th century till date, so many experimentation was done in handwriting and handwriting styles, and calligraphy slowly has considered as a craft or a skill, and handwriting more literacy demand has made into a different types of a shape. But otherwise, in 1856, this was a simple handwriting, not a calligraphy. Now look at these masters, Arthur Baker. Why have I enlarged this? To show you, to appreciate you, make you appreciate these kind of letter forms which is drawn by hand spontaneously. Yeah, Arthur Baker was a master. If you look at each and every stroke, how it is going narrow and again broad, it's in one go. So it's very important to also look at the work, not always just do it by just taking the angle and just moving the hand. There are so many small nuances. If you can see this, how it is changing, to broad to a narrow. And it's all mastered in one hand by Arthur Baker. And I'll show you another slide, which will stunt you. See? Now slowly you'll understand that how calligraphy has given birth to the kind of letter forms which we consider them as a type. So even the type history, it traces back to calligraphic schools. And all the typefaces, most of the good typefaces which are in use today are mostly born out of the schools of calligraphy. Yeah, beautiful typefaces which we see are also we can say versions, better versions, mechanized, geometricized, automized, computerized, digitized, whatever you want to say, is from basic calligraphy. So here we are about basic calligraphy. Look at those two again, and you will find they were looking, I was showing you separately, they were looking almost same. Now you understand, just because of changing the slight angle, how it has changed. So much it has changed. Especially the shape of B, the shape of A has changed so much. So Arthur Baker clearly demonstrates, this is straight away from his book, Calligraphy by Arthur Baker. Arthur Baker is one of the quite renowned and well-published calligrapher of 80s, 70s, 80s. Yeah, this is published in 1975 from United States. Hermann Zapf, known as a god of calligraphy. Now I'm showing you a collection of calligraphy from 1980s from the book called International Calligraphy Today. So this is again published in 80 because, as I said, hold on to the reason that computers just came and started becoming in America personalized, means PC. Till then, there was no PC. So it's not really very far. That's why I said maybe it is important duty for us to orient this. Maybe it will sound like a historical session, but believe me, it's not just the history. It's telling you the concepts and the idea of beauty. As even today, whatever we try to do, we take the same footsteps what earlier people have taken. Yeah, when we are also learning, we also do something similar to this. Of course, not we are so proficient like Mr. Hermann Zapf was known as a god of calligraphy. Similarly, Werner Schneider from Germany. Wonderful. This is all done by hand, and I was very fortunate to witness his demonstration, which is almost the same. So it was stunning demonstration by Werner Schneider done in IIT IDC Powai itself, those who are the organizer of this conference. So he was very much here and he demonstrated us the same style, but also in almost 1 feet size, not a small, also 1 feet size or 1.5 feet size, X height, I mean, all capitals. Wonderful, wonderful stability of hand, extraordinary mastery on the letter forms and the weightage, extraordinary mastery into interletter spacing. What we do now carefully in typography called kerning, which is all done by the human technology. And that's what we need to appreciate and also go ahead to get our answers, what is going beyond means. So in nutshell, even in my small life, I should, if not up to that superior level, but I need to at least, these are like landmarks to me, that I should able to at least attempt to touch upon these levels before I go ahead. What develops inside matters to us more now than what happens outside, because what happens outside is taken care by the computers, but how I'm going to grow my sensory. So calligraphy works today as a tool to sharpen those senses of high hand, mind and eye coordination, but it gives, finally, ultimately, it gives some creative faculty of a sensible graphic designer or sensible visual person. Yeah, and I believe you are coming from design school or art school or applied art school or fine art school, wherever you are coming from, but it is considered that you are trying to be a visually sensitive person, and therefore I urge you to first do basic calligraphy and then look at these transits and then go further, and then you will get your own insight. This is one of the work from the same book, International Calligraphy Today, and this is a we are fortunate that Indians, one example by Professor R.K. Joshi is already published in that book. So we are really proud that from his study, what he extracted and what he has shown to the world, what is our traditional calligraphy. So he is also trying to show to the world what is Indian so-called traditional calligraphy. Otherwise, the world was not aware whether India really has a traditional calligraphic school or not. India has published, means India is such an old country and known for its knowledge and philosophy and so many things and so much of a scientific development in the early time. Where are the evidences? Yeah, so some glimpses visually germinates into these styles, and when we learn this and when we show, you immediately say, wow, this is Indian. So if nothing less, but the Indianness you also see in the layout, you also see in the style of the calligraphy, the letter space, the word space, the line space, very little word space. If you remember the earlier manuscripts which I've shown, almost no word space. The word space idea also came much later. The idea of comma is not Indian. It's borrowed concept by others. There is nothing wrong borrowing, as Professor Panchanand also said, that there is nothing wrong. People are borrowing words from different languages and putting them into their own languages. Nothing pure about it. Fine. It's nothing question of purity or something. But we should always collect and merge something good from our past, something good from somebody else's past also. Because now the world is coming closer, and there is only, the whole attempt is to understand what is beauty. We try to do the same exercise in our school, try to demonstrate, inspired from Warner Schneider, but I'm trying to show here Devanagari in a big size. From this particular day, I remember I've stopped showing my personal work and showing more stress on the basic calligraphy. And if you look at it, if you make it a big size, larger than life, yeah, then you will understand the beauty of even Indian letters. We need to really work in that direction. Yeah, it's not that the letter forms are not there. It's not that we don't have any calligraphic school in India, but we need to work the way the Western people have worked on it. We have to pick up the concept and not necessarily the script culture. You know, we already have enough of scripts, but we need to explore them. We need to study them, and we need to understand and extract the basics of it, because that's going to benefit us to, make our visual much stronger and to give more insights about visual ideation also later on. Let's understand slowly now as we go further what is stylization. Even in 1980s, not now, and we are going to see some good collection of Arthur Baker, because you cannot, if you say stylization, you cannot just crossover without taking names like Arthur Baker. Why I'm talking about Western, the another reason is we are extremely exposed to the Western information as compared to the Middle East information, as compared to even the Eastern information. Yeah, we are more informed about the Western schools. Yeah, so please pardon me if I have not touched upon the more of stylization which has happened in Arabic script. There is a lot of stylization happening. Okay, only that we are really not aware about it. Maybe we are not too much exposed about it. I've only heard that there are different 6 different styles: naski, nastale, muhakkak, reha, rekani, and there are many names which are in Middle East. There were different styles. Yeah, and you can see all over those types of styles on architecture also, and also in there many things. Everyday objects also you find calligraphy in, especially in Arabic school. So I am not really having many slides of that, but always don't try to create a bias that I am just showing you Western, that means only calligraphy is there in the Western school of scripts. Not necessarily. We are not exposed to that. We have to do little efforts, and I'm sure on the net you will find. I'm showing only those examples which I have seen in those days when this book was published. This book was, of course, published in 75. I came across with this in 83 when I came in school. So what I have a long companionship with these books, and what I've learned from them, I'm only limited my talk and presentation to the things which I know. So I have shown you some that from the International Calligraphy Today. I will give you the reference in the end, and you must go through that book, because there you will get the entire world exposure which was there in 1980s, and you will come to know, especially in India, what we are doing. We feel wows and great, and we got many likes to it, 300 likes, 500 likes, and we feel that wow, we are doing great. Nothing to discourage you, but to understand what they have already done. And are we really doing something different than that? See, insights means what? First, we need to understand what is already done, what is new, what is going beyond means. First, knowing more and more deeply what's already done and criticize it. Look at it. Arthur Baker was a person who played with the flourishes, also with excite, ascends and descends, also with the thickness of the tool in comparison with excite of the letter, and ascend and descends. Yeah, this is the term also which we are using. There is, by the way, Thames and Hudson that published one book called Dictionary of Calligraphy. Can you imagine? So there is a dictionary of calligraphy also. There are terms which are already documented very well by Thames and Hudson, is about terms, all the terms about calligraphy. So that's what I found is quite scientific, and that needs to be done in Indian situation. That's it. Look at Arthur Baker's stylization. You'll find something similar we are doing now in India. Yeah. And unfortunately, why in Roman? Can we do something like this in our own scripts? Because that's new to the world. Simple logic. If it's already done in the West, what will be the new thing for them? Simple logical way we can think. What will be the new? Our scripts will be new. Second thing is stylization in our scripts. What we have to lift from here is a concept of ascend and descend, and the force of line, the quality of letter form, the structural stylization, the thickness, and in comparison to excite and ascend and descend. My workshops actually tells you the same thing without showing examples, make you do and realize. Yeah. So even any letter form exploration workshops, I will tell you the same thing. Only thing is I'll make you do those things in the slots form, in the small realization. So I'm trying to put that entire workshop in 1.5 hours, if time permits me. But let's look at the stylization which is done, how exorbitantly he has stretched those ascend and descend. Then the computerization. What computerization did is, oh my God, it has given another dimension to the letter forms completely, yeah, which we feel that human might have not thought about it. Is that if like wrapping of the text wrapping and giving a different kind of a shape to the letter forms. This is what real computerization, I'm not calling it digitization. Digitization has gone ahead than this. I'll show you the digitization thing. Just give me a minute. I will share again because I have to show you those files. This is an example by created by Ektai Foundry, which is very much Indian type foundry and one of the classic type foundry of the world, responsible to create different letter forms and new technology also. Just have a look at this particular video very carefully. What is possible because of technology in today? Yeah, all those variables, yeah, are possible. Can have a careful look at it. Yeah. So technology, in fact, gone ahead. I'll show you another. Have a look at all Indian scripts. Maybe you can keep the dialog box little ahead, minimize it or something to view it correctly. The greatness of our Indian Ektai Foundry is they did it with all Indian scripts. So if this is what technology is doing today, so many already things are done by technology. Yeah. I'll show you some more. Can you see this?
Yes.
You can literally call it an animated, or kinetic typography. But conceptually, we are not going outside anywhere than stylization. Yeah, multiple stylization. What Arthur Baker did by hand. Now, so much is possible. This is a demonstration of variable fonts. So these fonts are like not available in action, but don't misunderstand. But it is, one sec, I'll show you last one. Which one? This one?
Yes, Letterbox is the name.
Letterbox, yes. See what's happening now. Isn't it wow? This is all nothing else but the stylization. So these kinds of letter formations are possible because of technology now. On this background, where we should go? That's the question. So here we come back to definition again. Calligraphy, the art of beautiful handwriting. So the function of calligraphy before we have understood in nutshell. Now we are going further, and what we have to focus more on the art, beautiful or beauty, and handwriting. So handwriting is also like a regular thing now, but what is beautiful and what is art? Art is a very big word. Art, you can do anything, yeah, but beautiful is still a changing definition as per the time goes. Let's check it out. What Professor R.K. Joshi's message here in his own calligraphy, he simply say, when you write, that's your handwriting, good or bad. When you write that appears to be good, that's your good handwriting. See how carefully it is written. What he's trying to say is, what appears to others, what appears to be good means it should be appearing good to others, and that's your good handwriting. But need not have to be appearing good to others. That can be your handwriting, good or bad. How properly written? Only the word bad here I don't like, so I put it, I have changed that to personal. So when you write, that's your handwriting, good or personal. When you write that appears to be good, that's your good handwriting. Now let's look at the third point. When you write good with care and concern, that's calligraphy. So his way of clarifying the definition of this era is good. Now, again, the good is a very subjective term. What is good then, what was good then, and what was good now differs. The good here refers to the word beauty. Care and concern is very important. The care and concern was also taken at the time of manuscript era. The care and concern is also taken by Arthur Baker when he has created the stylizations. What will be the care and concern today? Whose care and concern? When the letters are coming out from its communication responsibility, whether they will evaporate or they will sustain for my personal use. Let's go ahead. So there we called something called expressions. But you mean to say such kind of an experimentation in expressive calligraphy is not done? No, no, no. It was also done in 1980s. You'll find them in the book. But we need, as I said, we need to even look at the book with a specific concept in mind. Here I'm showing you the examples from the Far East, which is we are all aware about that even their basic looks very expressive to us. But here is a specific example of expressive. You can check the texture inside the... So there are many new factors. This is all identified by working in 1980 because it is coming from the same book again, International Typography Today, 1980, published by Thames and Hudson. This is another example of Japanese calligraphy. So yes. Expression, I'm not going to talk more because expression cannot be taught. But the way to go may be further. Was also well explained in the same book, which was realized in 1980, nothing new. So with that in mind, what should be the new of today's era? That is a question which I'm giving it to you through these workshops. I'm trying to give you a clarity about what is new, if at all you want to do something new. And till the time you don't do new, please look and relook at it, what others have done already. Yeah. This is all 1980s. A French calligrapher, I forgot his name, I can't pronounce, but in the end slide, you'll find everyone's name and you can really hit those as a keyword. That's the idea of this lecture, and explore yourself that how much you can see their more of their works, body of works. One of my most favorite and from whom I got motivated and inspired is Professor Hans Domenico Burgert. Yeah. So you can see Burgert's calligraphy a little bit more here because I found step by step Burgert explained through his work from stylization to expressions. This is all in 80s. Unfortunately, Professor Burgert also no more with us from 2009 especially, but I was very fortunate to spend 3 days time in Belgium in 1991, and I have learned very, very important stuff as far as how to go ahead in future of calligraphy. See the way he played with the structure of letter. Now someone will say, oh, I can't read anything. Come on, if you want to read, you use type. If you want to, express visually, you can use letter forms. Yeah, and you can draw pictures. Letters itself is a picture. So the new definition is also inspired from the very school of Eastern calligraphy or even the Middle East. Burgert used to say that I have an influence of Arabic script. You can literally see that, but these are all Roman scripts. I think he's the only calligrapher from Europe has broken all the traditional rules and regulations of calligraphy. In that era, it was known as a rebel or breaking the rules. But now, when we have so many fonts, and just now we saw a demo of variables and what all aspects are possible in machine, where the calligraphy should go. I think calligraphy should sing its own song. By the way, this is a wave. This is a wave by Burgert. The word is, or the narration is wave in German. And this is a cloud. So look at the expression. I'm not saying that's copy as it is, but the expressions and how the expressions with the structure of letter form, going beyond the letters, is, according to me, this, although not new, but we need to learn from this, because maybe Berger did this quite before, than today's time. But it's a sheer work of art if you look at his work. What kind of stuff we are doing here in India? Something similar, maybe dabbling, but still going ahead. And this is one of our group of students from JJ. And also the Akshara is now quite a big organization in India, departing information about and taking care of all these scripts, School of India, so many scripts, about more than 9. He also came out with manuals which were not there. They look like this. So if someone wants to learn basic calligraphy, these are the manuals. If you can, see, there was no manuals available simply to learn. If someone wishes to learn Gujarati, someone wishes to learn Gurumukhi now, or Telugu, or Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam, you can have your hands on it. Because being a graphic designer, as I said, being a sensitive person, you can always have hands on letter forms in order to improve your visual sensory. It's very important to improve us now, not just machines. If you are a design from visual faculty, you need to improve your sensory, visual sensory. That's what, these are the few attempts. The students have done bigger, larger than same size letter forms, and they practiced a lot, and then they did it as an happening of one of the typo day, which I am sharing with you now. And in one of the typo day, they also made jalebi out of it. Now this is going beyond idea of simply calligraphy or even typography. It is something we can term maximum as a lettering, because later shaping, they came out with biscuits and chaklis and whatnot, Indian snacks and various applications. They carved the letters. You can see they made cut papad also, and then fried, deep fried. They made cut papers and made 3-dimensional letters out of it. But remember, the word is manual. Beauty, care, and concern. Handwriting? No. From handwriting, we extract the manual, because the manual efforts changes something in you. The one who is doing it changes something in himself. Externally, changing machine is one school of thought. That's what the world is doing. Changing machine, making it more user-friendly for everybody, and more user-friendly and more automized for everybody. What we might be losing is the manual by which we change something in our own CPU. And that is what is today's this thing. I'll quickly show you personal works in order to show you how one can go. I'm not saying this is the only way, but writing your own diaries by hand and doodling. You can see there are no letter forms, but the doodling is with a cut pen. Yeah, what it gives, unless you do, you will not come to know. And then you can always, mark your own little diary, your the dates and all that. You design. You keep 1 or 2 different types of pens, and you get a really different kind of a satisfaction every day. You're composing something, you're making something on the paper, and developing your graphic understanding, the spatial understanding, the visual understanding. So not necessarily we are in a zone of something good. As I said, something very, very personal. And that's why this is a time that I thought I should share a personal work rather than show you the demonstration. But you can have a look at these diary pages. These are the diary pages. I don't claim that these are the wonderful calligraphy pieces or work of art, or no. These are simple, regular diary pages. The regularity, enjoyment, and what you do nowadays is doodle. I only do the doodles maybe by using letter forms. Yeah. This is also way back in 1989. Yeah. You can check the date here. When I was in IDC, when I first came across in IDC, these are the expressions of when I worked first time on the high-end machine called Macintosh, Apple. So some of the poems, then you start writing poems. You explore the ability of writer within you. Not necessarily I claim that I have published my poems, or no, not necessarily. Yeah, I'm not saying that this is a workshop which will make you a poet, or this is a workshop which will make you an author. No. Writing your everyday wisdom is interesting. And then maybe furthermore, you may can, during those days, I was really working like a fanatic, and I discovered even calligraphy can be a performing art. Nowadays, you see, this is also a picture from 1996, is already done, yeah? Done in one of my show, but you can see here, I don't want to show myself. I mean to say the action part in it, and it excites you and it gives you a different type of feeling. And therefore you do, not necessarily that you sell your work, you become a great calligrapher. No, no, no. It just gives you relaxation. It gives you, entertains your mind. It makes you fresh to go for your regular jobs, or, to do. And it's always useful. Sometimes you blow up your poems in certain occasion. This was the exhibition on memorizing R.K. Joshi after his death after 1 year. This is about like 12 feet by something 22 feet or 30 feet, I don't remember. It's a huge panel and done with a huge, especially homemade sponge brushes. Yeah. These are regular doodles. Thinking about structure. Here I wanted to show you thinking about the letter forms. As I've claimed in the beginning, how we should think. It's thinking about structural variations simply by ballpoint pen, no issues. But we are thinking about the structure of the letter form and how you're going to play with the letter form. This is a school I'm coming from, is Professor Hans-Jomi Coburger, and a philosophical school of Professor R.K. Joshi, that working with Indian scripts. Variations of curve, I was doing like a mad for more than like 2-3 years, every day. It gives a very different type of a feeling when you're constantly working with one letter form. I've conditioned myself with one letter form, and every day I was like working with them. This is one of the work from my exhibition. Avakash, the word Avakash is expressed with the sponge tool. The sponge tool was first used in 1989 by me when I was in IDC experimenting with calligraphic tools and materials. So nowadays people are immediately using sponge and grade tools and all that. Fine, but you still need to explore it further. Just coming out with different effects. I have stopped working in this because it is very tempting. It is very tempting. And I like also the effects, but more than the effect, as I said, I got more into a structure and structural play of the letter forms. And now I will wait for you to screenshot this, the credits and the references which are used in this particular presentation, which you saw, Jain manuscripts. You can see them in LD Museum, Ahmedabad, and some of them were from private collection. But even today in Mumbai, if you are located in Mumbai, you can go to Chhatrapati Shivaji Museum, that was earlier known as Victoria Museum, and now it's known as Chhatrapati Shivaji Museum. But LD Lal Bhai Dalpat Bhai Museum in Ahmedabad, then the different types of Quran or copies which you saw of collection from British Library and Southern Thailand, the Quran manuscripts, and also the Bible, the Hebrew Bible from the National Israeli collection. And you just take a screenshot. I don't want to read completely. And then Gutenberg Bible is from US. And all those references are given for you to copy. And I suggest you should go and check it out yourself in your own free time and think about today's session, whether it was useful or not. International Calligraphy Today, 1982, published by Thames and Hudson, London, dedicated to Herb Lubalin. Now check each and every name on the net, and I'm sure you'll get inspiring work and treat to yourself. Herb Lubalin, one of the great typographer, 1918 to 81, forwarded by Hermann Zapf, known as a god of calligraphy. And these are the work credits, the Hermann Zapf, the Hans-Jomi Coburger, the Warner Schneider. As I said, this specific book you can really refer to. Roger Spencer's book, if someone wants to learn hands, it's still available. You can ask for maybe a flip card and you can get it all the way from US. It's little expensive, but nevertheless, there are 5 different manuals how to learn. Then Arthur Baker, and Arthur Baker's, I am just referring to one book. You can see Arthur Baker here also, because these work credits are from the International Calligraphy Today book. Yeah, Arthur Baker is also published. He is one of the most published calligrapher from US, and his books are also like big in size and wonderful to look at. Professor R.K. Joshi's work, which I've shown, the notes are from Kaltis 83. These issues are almost out of print. But anyway, if someone wants it, we are telling the typographical researcher no more, this organization no more exists, but we are in process of making the PDF of it and free it for everyone. Yeah, these are the 3 books which you must. An introduction to typography, the calligraphy, these first 2, the calligrapher's handbook, wonderfully designed book, a very small, concise size, like vertically, horizontally, quite nice, substantial size book. If you want, I can show you even this Brookman's handbook. It's wonderful book. It looks like this. I don't know whether it's out of print, but it's very, very important book. I can show you even Arthur Baker's size of the book. You can see it's quite a big size book, and it's really an experience to look at such a big size, which I cannot tell you only in slides, but have a look at these books whenever you get time. Thank you very much, and over to question answers.
Hello, sir. It was a great session. Thank you. I have a question though.
Yes.
Do you think the stylization in Devanagari typefaces or number of typefaces available in Devanagari are limited compared to Latin typefaces?
Yes and no, because you should also check out the metal typefaces. We don't get them, but still a good number of hot metal type technology, when it was available, quite a good amount of typefaces were available. Yeah, although the Indian scripts compared to the Roman Latin is complex, and therefore creating hot metal typeface was extremely hard work, still people have done a lot of variety. And slowly and surely they are digitized now. But even digitizing those, not necessarily all the foundries are doing it well or doing a good job. The sad aspect is people are selling it faster and not completing the job. Like all the fonts should be Unicode based for people like you to utilize. So there are a lot of gaps and loopholes in Indian typography. But compared to West, you might find less variety. But I think the more and more people are getting realized, see, there are a lot of people need to work for a long time. It is for Indian to create a new Indian typeface or to create a new Indian style, complete style, takes a good amount of time, and you need to have patience. If you are enjoying that, then we can easily do that. Compared to West, of course, it is less. As I said, the only reason is complexity of the letter forms and exhaustive number of glyphs. For example, if you have to simply count Roman or Latin scripts, 26 concepts, yeah, conceptually 26. Shapes are capital and lowercase, numbers, diacritical marks, and you can count literally like not more than 100, yeah, a glyph chart in typeface. Whereas in Indian, any script, minimum 600 glyphs required, but now because of new technology, maybe less. So the technology is giving a speed to it, and we look forward for more and more style in less and less amount of time. I don't know whether I have answered your question, but of course they are less. I've explicitly told you the reason. The reason is because the script is, compared to Roman Latin, is complex, but the script structure is wonderful because it's a phonetic. If you simply go into the depth of the script system, what we speak exactly that we write, as compared to alphabetic script system, right?
Yes.
Have I answered your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Sir, I wanted to ask, this is Gargi. I wanted to ask, sir, to the points that you have just added right now. So, don't you think the fact that maybe Western languages are being spoken more and more throughout the world is also a reason that the variety is less in Indian languages, right? Like, for example, maximum of typography differences now, whatever I see, whatever creativity that is, I see mainly I find in the English typefaces, which is being largely used in advertising and everything, like almost a lingua franca for the majority of the world. So, don't you think that is also a catalyst in this?
If you ask Google the most spoken languages, then you will find a lot of Indian languages, by the way. But we
Yes,
are
I
under
agree.
we are under impression that there are large entire world. The simple reason is political because they have invaded so many countries for a long time. So obviously, the influence of a language was very natural out there. It has not grown because of its extraordinary potential as such, but
It's
more of
basically
the
language chauvinism, mainly what we say, right?
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
looking at the size of the country, India, looking at the population, looking at the literacy percentage, and looking at the user, no less, Gargi. So, I mean, it is worth to explore Indian script and take it further. It is worth.
No, no, I definitely agree with
Huh.
you. I'm just saying that we feel like there are less variety, maybe because it is also a reason, like
There are
Daniel
many,
is also
yeah,
saying.
many,
Yeah,
many reasons. Because as I said, that the script is simple to explore as compared to our scripts. Yeah,
right,
although our
right.
scripts are scientifically correct. Yeah,
Better and more
scientifically
vivid.
more
Yes,
appropriate and
yeah,
but they are complex. So technology is giving a solution to it. Technology. When I designed my first typeface, it took long time, almost
right.
a year. Now today's generation can complete one typeface in 3 months because the
Right.
tool and the technology is also growing. So look, see, even technology required demands in order to grow. Technology need direction in order to grow. There is no problem of technology to grow. There is n number of growth is possible, but they need to know where to go and what to go
Yes,
and why to
yes,
go.
yes. What is the
And in
purpose? Right,
uh, and
right.
that's why this is an era of Indian scripts. What I strongly feel, because there is a need. Thanks to the people have sustained not only language, but they have sustained the script also. You know,
Right,
thanks to
right,
I sometimes feel thanks to those 40% illiterate people who wants to be literate and in their own
right.
script. You see,
Yes,
so we are
absolutely.
exactly standing on that era. If you all will work, I'm extremely optimistic that the young generation with the newest technology can burst this block of less variety. Because we are, I think, the last country in the world that we do not have variety. We can have n number of variety. Look at the script. The amount of scripts only are so many. So within one script also, so much stylization and possibilities are possible. We have
Absolutely.
that much variety there in our own brain. Only that it needs to speak out, spell out properly in a disciplined fashion. Needs to be taught in design school. Need to be taught in applied arts or visual arts schools. Then taught in the sense I'm saying at least expose. Then anybody
Yeah.
who wants to can go further and do it. And
But sir,
yeah,
don't you think here the demand is also, like you were saying, there is a lot of demand in this as well, right? But when we are speaking from an employer's point of view, they are right now they're expecting whatever typographical developments they're expecting. They usually expect it in English or English typefaces.
that
So
is
don't
because
you think?
they found, see, for advertising and mass media, why they
Mhm.
use English more, because they found that country is multilingual, so the
Right,
simplest and the fastest route is put it in English. And oh
right.
my God, sorry to say, don't tell me that I'm coming from a back boomers generation or an old generation. But when I look at the completely English headline, typed in Devanagari, I found it so horrible. You see,
Yes, yes,
but
yes,
it's
yes.
still better than that era we passed when Hindi movie titles, you know,
Hmm.
are type. in Roman script, which
Oh my God.
is spelled so funnily. Yeah, that
Right,
era is
right,
gone. That era is gone.
right.
Like
Yes.
try to spell the ishq.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I mean, so a lot of funny things has happened when people there were no way out, and because the variety of typefaces available, there were no way out that logo designer will design the title of the film, and the film is Hindi. Okay,
Right. Yes.
during those days, you will find the history of Bollywood or Indian films, the film poster. If you excavate and see, they used to make trilingual logos. Wonderful, there was a logo in fact, Devanagari, Urdu, that is Hindustani, for a Hindustani language, that is written in Urdu, because Hindustani was understood, means Hindi or Hindustani, the term was
Right.
Hindustani, read by even the Urdu readers as well as Devanagari readers. Even today in Delhi, you will find multilingual signages in Gurumukhi also you find, and lastly, Roman. Yeah. So it took 70 years. We are just, in a way, we are the oldest country. In a way, we are just 70 years old. Yeah.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Something like
Yes.
that. Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone, and I'm really happy that slowly this session got full, and I'm excited, looking forward to all your questions, and feel free to write to me on the mail. Yeah, thanks a lot.